What's up, guys? It's your boy Golemmcr, and in today's video, we're just gonna rank every single card in Clash Royale. Well, every card besides the Evos. Well, the Evos are just a card already, so yeah, every card. And yeah, this is after the new balance changes went into effect. So let's get right into it. So we just got the base Skellies. They're just one elixir for three little Larrys. They really don't do that much. But I guess they're still a one elixir cycle card. We'll just put them at C. Really not that good. Probably C or D. Uh, we got LeBron. Honestly, I feel like it's a decent card for two elixir. Um, I feel like it actually gets like a lot of value, and it normally like whether it's piggies or drill or anything, it tends to like take it out pretty fast, and whatever spell your opponent uses to take it out, it tends to take like more than two elixir to take it out. So then next up we got the goblins. I'm gonna put them at B. I feel like they've kind of fallen off. I feel like they used to be more of like an A tier card, but I think they've been more B lately or C. But I definitely still think they're still decent. But they're not like the A or S tier card they used to be. And then Spears even got that nerf. Just I think to all the ones that contain Spears. So I mean I feel like it's got to be like one below Goblins. It's gonna go in at C. They just don't strike me as like a super great card. I mean they're not terrible. They're two elixir, but yeah, that's where they're at. And then we got the base zap. I feel like the base zap is really not the greatest spell. Just for two elixir, you only get a reset. It's a very short reset. It doesn't do much damage. It doesn't have much splash. Like, I feel like it's just not a really good spell. I honestly just feel like D is where it belongs. Then we got the base knight. We'll put the base knight at A tier. I feel like the base knight just has really good base stats, and it's just a really good little mini tank. Whether it's a cycle deck or maybe it's a beatdown deck that just wants another like tank but doesn't want to spend a bunch of elixir, and it also has an evolution too. But we're not talking about the evolutions right now. And then we got the regular base archers. I'm gonna put those at D. I don't think they're like F tier, but they kind of feel like a weak card for three elixir. You can either like split lane them or play them same lane, and they're easy to like overwhelm or just take out with a spell. Then we have the minions. I'll put the minions at C. They're the same elixir as archers, but I feel like they get their DPS a little bit faster. And they still feel a little bit better than archers. And they just feel decent for being flying too. Honestly, arrows. I feel like arrows is S tier worthy. S tier in the sense of like how much coverage you have of S like with the arrows as a spell. Like especially with Evo Dart in the game, like having arrows in your deck is just like an S tier like coverage. I feel like for a spell. I don't know if I'd say it's overpowered, but honestly, I'm willing to go. It's like for its usage and everything. Like I'm willing to put arrows at S tier. I don't know. Maybe that's like a crazy absurd thing, but especially after the nerfs and stuff, like I'm just going off like cards I feel like are like necessary to play. In certain things sometimes. Then we got the base cannon. This is like an A tier. It's just like a super. Sorry if I'm been yapping too. It's just like a super good building. It's only three elixir and it pulls troops of both your buildings, so both your towers shoot, and it does like a lot of DPS for three elixir too. So it's just a really good card. We have the Tesla. It's a good building, but I think it's like one lower than cannon. I don't know. You could argue it's all the way into C, but I personally wouldn't go that far because it does like go underground and it does shoot air too. So it definitely helps a lot more in lava, which is becoming a lot more prevalent. But it definitely doesn't have like the cannon or DPS capability of like the cannon. Um, then we have the mortar. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it's got to be A tier. Like the only card I can compare it to is like the X-Bow, and I feel like time over time, like whether it's the base mortar or Evo mortar, it's just shown that it's just like a way better win condition than the Expo. It just almost reminds me of like Super Smash Bros. When there's like Lucas and Ness as a characters. Like I don't know, like I don't follow the scene that much, but you'd assume like one character is better than the other. Like it just feels like Expo and Mortar both want to do the same thing and they have similar counters. And Mortar is like a cheaper Expo that can just do what it can do better, and it has an Evo, even though we're not talking about the Evo. And so for being like a 4 elixir range building that can hit your opponent's tower, I just feel like fundamentally it's just a good card. Um, and you can play like cannon card and stuff behind it to get, excuse me, to get value. Just base barbs alone, I'm gonna put an F tier. There's just way too much splash in the game now that I feel like just takes them out. That just can map barbs, that can map anything. And I feel like these like are like common cards that have been around forever, and they've kind of gotten power creeps by like all the broken splash. And for the same reason, I'm gonna put the minion horde in the F tier. Excuse me. And then yeah, so they have the same problems. The barbs. There's just way too much broken splash in the game. Then we got the tombstone. Honestly, I don't know where to. I'm gonna put it at C. I don't think it's like terrible, but it doesn't strike me as like the best card by any means. It kind of feels like a mid building. I'd even go as far as D, but I feel like that might be too mean because like it is only 3 elixir. But yeah, like why would you play it over like a cannon? I just don't understand. We have the Musk. I'll put it as a B tier card. I almost want to go A. I don't know how people feel about this. I mean, it is 4 elixir. I personally feel like it's definitely not like A or S tier because it's 4 elixir, but I wouldn't say it's C or D. Like I feel like it still does a lot and it has a lot of coverage. So we'll put the Musk at B. And then honestly, for similar reasons, I kind of want to put the Valk at B. I don't know if people like think of Valk and Musk similarly. I don't know. I feel like the Valk like is like a tankier version, and it doesn't have as much DPS. But I feel like it's like B level of value. I feel like they're on a similar level to me. I'm trying to think of like when I play Hog, like 2.6, like what card am I more annoyed with, like the Musk or the Valk? And I don't know honestly. Actually, the more I think about it, nah, I'm pulling Valk to C. I'm sorry. I feel like the Musk is definitely way better than the Valk, like a little bit. Um, we got the Hog Rider. I'm gonna put Hog Rider in at C. It just feels like honestly, I don't know. This might be a far take, but I feel like Hog Rider is a mid win condition. Like any card like that, you're giving your opponent a free king activation if they have Tornado or anything like that. You're like playing into your opponent. It's 4 elixir. It doesn't cycle or evo. I feel like as time goes on, like it just feels like a weak win condition. Um, so there was recently a mini P.E.K.K.A buff. So mini P.E.K.K.A does more damage now. So I'm gonna put it straight at B tier. Honestly, it feels like it can get some value now, and it definitely needs to be respected, kind of similarly to the P.E.K.K.A. We got the Fireball. I'm gonna put the Fireball at A tier. I feel like the Fireball is a super good spell, and I think it's definitely better than the Poison. But I feel like it doesn't. I wouldn't say it has as much cover as the arrows, and the arrows are 3 elixir. So we got the Bomb Tower. I'll put the Bomb Tower in at C. I feel like it's probably like one of the worst buildings. Maybe slightly better than the Tombstone, but that's not saying much. Because it doesn't even shoot air, and it's 4 elixir. So yeah, it's good against piggies, but that's about it. I feel like we got the Giant. The Giant's like really fallen off, honestly. It's going to C. I still feel like as a card it has decent base stats, but man, like, does it not really work in reality? It just gets DPS down, and it really doesn't get much value. And it kind of just feels like it just isn't a good card. It's really only used in Giant Graveyard. But yeah, that's where it's at. Um, let's see. We got the Wizard, the base Wizard. Ever since they like did that patch where they reverted stats, I feel like it's been a pretty okay card. I'm gonna put it at C. Not too terrible, not too good. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like it's honestly like worth it for 5 elixir because it survives poison and a lot of other things. We're gonna put the Inferno at D. It feels like one of the weaker buildings to me. Like it's 5 elixir. I know it can. I know it seems crazy. I'm putting Tombstone above it, but even when it gets those good trades, it's like what can it trade well against like P.E.K.K.A, Golem, and like you could still lightning it. It's like a 5 elixir building that I don't know. I just feel like it's conceptually like a bad card when you really think about it at the high level. We're gonna put Goblin Hut at F. I feel like Goblin Hut's definitely not a good card. Uh, it's just like a spawner that just spawns goblins to get splashed. So yeah, that doesn't feel very good to me. Um, and we're gonna have Rocket. I'm gonna put Rocket at B tier. It's definitely not like an A or S tier spell like Arrows or Fireball, but it doesn't feel like it's D or F nearly like that because it still feels like it has a lot of coverage and it can do a lot of damage. It needs to be respected. Let's put it at B. Pump. Oh, I want to put it at D. I'm putting it at D. It's just really hard to use now. Like I know you can get value. Nah, I can't put it at D. I'll put it at C. Fine, I'll put it at C. But it's just really hard to use now. Like you can get hard countered by Void, by EQ. It takes so long to get the value from the pump. They can just really rail your lane. It just feels like it's very hard to get a long game going with pumps and get that type of win that you want. And yeah, we got the Barb Hut. It's going in at F. It just feels like a bad card. Like why would you want to spend get a spawner so all your cards flood down a lane and do nothing? Um, we're gonna put the mirror in an F. I know like the cards do like one level more, but like I still feel like it's fundamentally flawed paying one more elixir for the same card. And like why would you just not want to run another card? And it doesn't feel like you'd want to run the same card in a lot of scenarios. So yeah. We're gonna put the Rage at A tier. It just feels like a really good spell for 2 elixir. It feels like it gets a lot of value, especially behind things like P.E.K.K.A, Goblin Giants, and stuff like that. And it's just hard to like say it's not worth it for 2 elixir. I feel like. Um, we'll put the Skeleton Army at D. I mean, I don't think they're F tier like Barbs because they're 2 elixir less, but they definitely have the same flaws as Barbs and everything else, and they're even weaker. But I guess like their advantages is like there are 3 elixir cards that you can run them in like 1.9 and like bait cycle if you really felt like it. I personally wouldn't, but then we have the base barrel. I feel like it's like a C or D card. Put it at C. I mean, it always forces a response. It normally gets like a negative trade, but just because it's like a win condition, I feel like for 3 elixir, that like you can kind of like force over time. I mean, I feel like this like C level concept. We got the baby dragon, so the baby dragon just got a buff. Whoa, whoops, my bad. And I don't know where it's gonna settle, but I'm gonna put it at B for now. It definitely feels like that splash is noticeable, and yeah, it does a lot more splash now, and it's already tanky. So I definitely feel like I expect to see it a lot more, and it'll be interesting to see like what new decks try to play her and how she fits in a lot of things. Then we have the freeze. I don't know. The freeze kind of feels like a gimmicky spell to me. It gets value with the Evo E Dragon, but the Evo E Dragon was nerfed a lot, so I don't know. I definitely feel like it's like a C level spell now. I wouldn't put it anywhere below that, but I don't think it's like on par with Rocket anymore. And then Witch got the upgrade. It does more splash now. We'll have to see where it settles. But I'll put it at C for now, just because I still haven't seen that many people using it, and it is 1 elixir more than Baby Dragon, so I feel like the splash buff probably helped Baby Dragon more. But who knows? Like maybe someone could figure out a way to make Witch OP. And then we have the base Prince. I'm gonna put it in at B. I don't know. It just feels like a card that always needs to be respected. And if you combo it with something like Rage or Zap or Arrows, it's pretty easy to get a positive trade with it. And you can also use it like on defense, and it like creates a counter push, and just put like a giant in front of it. I know it's kind of fallen off, but it just feels like one of those like fundamental. Like you just look at the card itself, like definitely like a good card. We have the balloon. Honestly, the balloon never striked me as a good win condition. I might get some hate for this, but I'm putting the balloon all the way in a D. Like I really like I've always thought this about the balloon. Like balloon is not a good card. Like what makes balloon good is like the lava hound or like the lumberjack or like the freeze or the counterplay, the defense, the balloon itself It's just like 5 elixir that can like. There's so many times it doesn't even hit the tower. I just do not see it being like that good of a card. I know it can win in some frustrating ways, but as a whole, like I just don't think it's that good. And then we have the giant Skelly King, or the giant skeleton. I'm gonna put him at D. I feel like he's just not that good of a card. Um, yeah, it just feels like for 6 elixir, there's just a lot better counters that do a lot more splash and a lot more things for less elixir. And he's just a really heavy card, and you have to try to get a lot of value off his death damage, and that's hard to do. And it kind of creates like a slow game that might not even advantage you anyway. So yeah. Then we have the lightning. It's gonna go into S tier. It feels like a very broken spell right now. The win rate to be going Royal API, it has like 55-56% win rates with lightning. Tons of like lightning lava decks, lightning golem decks, like any beatdown lightning deck. It just shuts out Archer Queen, it shuts out buildings, it shuts out so many things. It creates like forcible doubles where it's like you can take out everything in double now because you can actually afford the lightning. It's just a super busted spell that honestly I think probably like is needs a nerf. Honestly, it's just crazy like how many things it can map like instantly. But yeah, we have the Expo. Dude, honestly, like I'm gonna get hate for this, but dude, is Expo was like not? Isn't Expo just like an F tier card? I guess I'll put it at D. It almost feels like an F tier card. Like it feels kind of trolly at this point. Like I know people are like diehard Expo fans. Maybe I think Expo is back this season. Some people said like maybe it shows how mid ladder I am, but I still feel like Mortar's better than it. And you can run EQ. I know Void fell off, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I just can't put any Expo any higher than D. I was almost gonna put it at F. We have the base P.E.K.K.A. It's going in at S tier. There's just so many heavy cards in the game. I don't know if I'm just realizing this or if like over time they've just added heavier cards, but it just feels like they've just have all these cards in the game now, and every time they add these cards in the game, like any new beatdown or heavy card that gets added, it gets countered by P.E.K.K.A, but nothing actually counters P.E.K.K.A. So it's like every time, every deck is just all P.E.K.K.A, and it has so much coverage, and it trades out so well. And I just feel like for a base card, just being able to counter like any like beatdown card, it just feels like it just feels like so devastating, honestly. And there's so many times like a base P.E.K.K.A is going down by laying a single, and like I guess I'm a bad player, but I just can't defend it. And I feel like you have to run like double air or do weird things because it has so much ground superiority amongst this whole game. Um, put Golem in at D. I don't know why. It feels weak to me lately. It feels like Expo. Like Expo and Golem feel like dying breeds. Like there's certain goats that can make them alive and post videos with them at top ladder and make you think that they're like along with all these other decks, but those players are few and far between. And I feel like the decks are just need help, and the archetypes need help, and every other decks have a lot better help and better archetypes and stuff. Um, so we have the RG. The RG honestly is a probably like a C tier card. I feel like it's kind of decent because it's a ranged unit, so it can get its damage fast, and it's like so broken with the fisherman and stuff. So for that reason, I feel like it's like definitely a little bit better than Golem. We're gonna have the Musk and at D. There definitely doesn't feel like F like Barbs, but it's easy to just like destroy them with like NATO E-Drag or something. But the Evo E-Drag did get nerfed. But yeah, they can get splashed down. You kind of have to like wait till double. They're like super expensive, but I don't know. They have like more potential to me than like the minion hoarder Barbs. So I'll put them at D. Um, let's see. We have the Dark Prince. The Dark Prince did get a buff. It got like a charge buff, I believe. I'll have to look at it again. I'm not super sure. So we'll honestly go ahead and put it with its brother, the Prince. B. I feel like this is like one of the first balance changes I think they feel on similar footing. I'll have to playtest them more. I mean, obviously the Prince is stronger, but it's one elixir more, and they have like different utilities. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could be B or C, but I'll give it the benefit of B for now. We have Poison. I don't know why. I just feel like Poison fell off. I'm gonna put Poison at B. It feels like one of the worst spells right now. Not like in the way of like it's F tier, but like it doesn't feel like the A or S tier it normally was. Like so many seasons, I feel like Poison was like an A or S tier spell. I feel like this is one of the like seasons I feel like where I feel like arrows and lightning and even fireball and rage just feel a lot more prevalent. Um, we have the princess. I'll put her in at C. I think she's like a really fair card. I think she can get value, but she's not busted by any means. I think the Dark Goblin's busted, and she just kind of abuses like that being like having the same counters as that card. Um, we have the Ice Wizard. Put the Ice Wizard at A tier. It's just a super good card. The Ice Wizard, being able to slow things, being able to have spawn like stun, just all that. It's just really good. Ever since that splash buff, it's just really shown how good it is. We have Fire Spirit. I'll put it in at C tier. I mean, it's not super good, but it's a one elixir fireball. Like, I really don't think I can put anything lower than that. But yeah, nothing great. Let's see what else we got. We got the Furnace. I'm putting the Furnace in an F. That card's terrible. Uh, we got the guards. I'm gonna put the guards in an A tier. They're just a super good defensive card, especially with all the P.E.K.K.A.s going around. It just really feels like the guards clutch up a lot, and they just come in clutch and save you from P.E.K.K.A.s and all that BS. We have the miner. I'll put the miner in at C. I know people would probably want me to go put it up to B. But I don't know why. I just never thought of miner as like a super strong card. I feel like it's still like a king in a lot of like placements. If you have NATO and it's 3 elixir, and I know it's good against pump and stuff, but I don't know. I'm leaving it at C. I'm gonna put Sparky in at C. I know some people could think it's Z. Honestly, I feel like it's a decent support card. I just think it's like hard for it to find a good deck in. Um, because Goblin Giant, I feel like it dies a lot of time before the Sparky can fully get value. So that's why it can get countered easily. And then it's like it doesn't really work well in Golem. So, but as Sparky itself, I feel like still kind of can slam for 6 elixir. So I'll leave it at C. We have the lava. A. It's just such a good tank, honestly. It's like the only flying tank in the game, just enabling you to play all those broken air cards behind it and just go unchecked in the air. Pretty broken. The base Ice Spirit's going in at A. Um, it's a really broken card. Just being able to stun things and freeze them for 1 elixir and having all your troops get all that extra time to shoot, I feel like is just so strong. And even though the Evo Ice Spirit got nerfed, I think the Ice Spirit still didn't get nerfed. So yeah, it's just a really good card. We have the Bowler. I'm gonna put the Bowler at D. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the Bowler like really fell off. Like really fell off. Like I don't even know if Graveyard plays him anymore. Like for 5 elixir, it just feels like a slow card that doesn't do much. And a lot of cards do a lot more for less. It doesn't cycle in Evo. It doesn't like feel like it gets you ahead. So yeah, I'll put it at D. We got the Log. It'll also go at S tier. I feel like it's easier for spells to be S tier because they're like so usable in so many decks, and they have so many instances where they get such high elixir trades. And this is the same for the Log. It's used so much, and just its ability of having knockback, I feel like is just super good, and just giving your towers more time to shoot. So yeah, I think it's an S tier card. I feel like it honestly makes like the whole cycle archetype, like all these archetypes, like it just enables it. Just that little bit of extra time combined with a bunch of cheap cards. We got the Lumberjack, so it got a DPS buff. Um, Honestly, I don't think it's that good though. I'm putting it at D. No, not D. I'm putting it at C. It just feels like an okay card. I'll have to try it more, but it's hard to like pinpoint to get your rage where it needs to go. And I feel like still you just use in like a lot of gimmicky decks. Um, I'm gonna put the Ice Golem in at C. I know you can use it in like 2.6 and stuff, but It doesn't feel like it's the greatest card. I know it's 2 elixir, but yeah, it just feels like a run of the middle card. Just like a mini tank that can stun, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna put the Mega Minion in at B. Honestly, I feel like the Mega Minion is a pretty decent card, being like a single target like high DPS air card for 3 elixir. I honestly feel like it's really decent, and a lot of the air cards in this game just feel like really good to me. And I'm gonna put the Inferno at A, just being a flying card that can just like melt everything from the skies. I feel like it's hella decent. Um, yeah, I don't know, honestly. I just feel like it's a fundamentally broken card, like a flying Inferno tower for 1 less elixir. Like that can be played behind tanks, especially flying tanks. Um, we got the graveyard. Honestly, I'm putting it at C. I don't know how other people feel about this, but graveyard just doesn't strike me as the best win condition. It's like a 5 elixir card that basically plays like a Skarmy, like right on your opponent's tower. But I feel like there's just so much broken splash still in this game. You're pretty much just trying to get value out of the poison, and like I said, even poison's like not like what it was. Um, we got the E barbs. I'm gonna put them in at C. I feel like they're definitely not the greatest card, but I don't know. I still even think they probably get more value than like the bowler and stuff these days. At least you can like split them and get some counterplay from them. But yeah, they're definitely kind of like a trolley card. Um, so we have the NATO. The NATO is definitely S tier. Just being able to take and get all those free king activations, I feel like is such a powerful thing in this game. And it just really forces games where it's like you have your king at the start of the game, and then your opponent really can't do much, but then playing the 3 towers, and you can pretty much just win games like just off of that card. It's really busted. So we're gonna put the clone. I don't know. I'm gonna put the clone at F tier. Honestly, I feel like the clone's like always gonna be terrible at 3 elixir. I feel like it's just 3 elixir is too much for the clone. There's like too much splash in the game. Like if any card gets sneezed on, it's already dead for 3 elixir. It's like Jesus, you could get like a whole healer for 1 elixir more and just keep all those cards alive. It just feels like ridiculous to play a clone these days. Like it almost feels like the clone card should have like a teeny bit of health or something. I don't know. But yeah, like I've never liked that. Like I know you like I guess you could bait out an arrows, but the problem is like they don't even have to play like an arrows these days because like an ice wizard like little bit of splash will take out the whole clone army because yeah, that's all it needs. Um, we got the Ewiz. I'll put the Ewiz at C. It's like an okay support card, but it's nothing fancy, and it's 4 elixir. So I know they buff it a little bit, but yeah, I still think it's only C worthy with it just being like not the greatest DPS. We got the Goblin Gang. I'm gonna put the Goblin Gang at A. I definitely think they're the best variation of goblins if you're gonna think about running goblins or spears. Like you might as well just run the Goblin Gang for 1 more elixir. They do a ton of DPS. You can split them. They stop things fast. They can do a lot of offensive value. They can push units faster. Definitely not to be slept with. We got the Dark Goblin. Dude, honestly, I don't even care, dude. Like, this is my list, bro. Fucking Dark Goblin's literally an S tier card, dude. I swear, it literally makes Cycle what it is. This card has a broken DPS. Ever since they did that patch change to it, its DPS is busted. It literally takes out everything within like a flash of an eye before you arrows or log it. If you even have an arrows or log that you pretty much have to play. And I'm just talking about like the non-Evo. And then the Evo is even worse. It's like they just want that card to be fundamentally broken. I don't know. It's just a crazy DPS. And has crazy range too. It can shoot like your cards from across the map. Um, we have the barb. What is it? The pencil. I don't even know what to call this card honestly. The battle ram. It's going at a D. It's pretty bad. It barely makes it to tower. It's 4 elixir. It just gives your opponent counterplay. Um, put the XE at C. I don't know. It's not the best card, but it's not the worst. I mean, it can definitely like take a lot of things out with NATO, but I feel like there's better cards like E Drag you can use or Ice Wiz with NATO. But I think it's okay, and I still think it's better than like a lot of these other cards like that just give counterplay. Um, We have the bats. I don't think the bats are that good. We'll put them at C. They strike me as like a completely mediocre card. I mean, for 2 elixir, like if you sneeze on them, they'll die. For 1 elixir more, you get so many more better cards. I mean, I don't think they're like D bad, but yeah, C seems about right. Honestly, the heal spirit's B. I almost want to put it at A. I feel like it's one of the most slept on spirits, and it can definitely get a lot of value if placed right, just healing a few things at once, playing like a few different units, and it has its own different decks it runs in. We're gonna put the bandit at B. It feels like a pretty good ground card. I know like a lot of P.E.K.K.A decks use him, and I know he can get a lot of value from the dashing ability. But I don't know. I still don't think it's like the greatest card ever, but definitely like better than a lot of some of these other cards. And it is only 3 elixir, and it does have that like a dashing ability built in. You don't have to pay anything. Night Witch, man, Night Witch really fell off. I'm gonna put Night Witch at D. I know it looks really low, but there's just like I'm telling you, like any game now you play Night Witch, this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna play Poison, they're gonna play Fireball, they're gonna play Lightning, they're gonna play Rocket. So like eventually like that lane's gonna get Poison, Rocket, whatever. If they're not playing that, they're gonna be playing like NATO or Xe or whatever. They just have all these cards, like all these splash cards or spells. Like you're just better off running a healer, like anything, and all these decks with like tanks now, I swear. And so I don't know. And the bats, I feel like don't do anything. They just die to the splash anywhere, dispel. And the Night Witch itself kind of feels like med. So yeah, um, we have the Skelly Barrel. Put it at C. It's just like an annoying bait card. It definitely does damage, but it's not like super good. But you definitely have to respond to it. It could honestly be B, but I'll leave it at C for now. Also, Flying Machine for C. It's an okay support card. I think it's been being used a little bit more lately, but it's still like pretty mid for just like what it does. But yeah, you can get in situations where it's hard to take out. The Cannon Curt was just nerfed. I feel like it's actually pretty noticeable, but yeah, it's still a pretty good card. But we'll put it in at B because like yeah, like that nerf is definitely noticeable, and it definitely is a heavy 5 elixir card. I haven't had the time to experiment much with it, but it lost some of its HP in the shield. So yeah, we're gonna have the Mega Knight. Just the base Mega Knight kind of feels like a D tier card. Like I'm not talking about the Evo. Like it just feels like a terrible P.E.K.K.A. Like just compare the base card of this to a P.E.K.K.A. Like they both defend like I just don't even understand. Like I guess this card could defend like multiple squishy units, but it's just silly. Like this card sucks. The base card. Only like mid ladder players would say it's good. It's 7 elixir that can get countered by like a million things for a positive trade. Um, we got the Zappies. We're gonna put them at B. I feel like they have a lot of coverage for 4 elixir, and you can split them. And yeah, they shoot ground and air. So I don't think you can sleep on them honestly, as much as like you might want to. I feel like they always kind of like they low key force like a fireball arrows, but thinking like the instances like where you don't play that, like I feel like this card low key kind of cooks like if you don't counter it. Um, the bar barrel it honestly feels like a goated spell. I'm putting it at A tier. I feel like this whole card is like almost the reason like I won the 20 win challenge just because it just lets you like play like one lane and then like when your opponent tries like all in you opposite or whatever you can just defend with just like a bar barrel. So now instead of like getting 3 crown, it's like you saved your whole tower earth or king with just 2 elixir. So you do the push you normally did, but now you don't get 3 crown. And this card just feels like a savior. I feel like of like beat down decks or just decks that don't want to respond to things. You can just run this as one of your spells, and it's just like yeah, you get a lot of coverage. You don't die as much. So we have the hunter. I mean, this card is definitely more back because of the rune giant, but it's still kind of a weird card. We'll put it at C. It's just really only good with the rune giant right now. But I mean, it did get that HP nerf a while back, so maybe it could be B. But it's still probably not going to be used that much unless the rune giant. So we'll leave it at C for now. The Royal Ghost is like an A tier card. This set ability to always go invisible, I feel like is just super good. And it's just like think about the Archer Queen. You have to spend 1 elixir for that. So just having that built into the card for 3 elixir, I feel like it's just really good, and it just makes the card super nice. And it's just really broken for 3 elixir. It does splash like heck yeah. We got the Magic Archer. I'm gonna put the Magic Archer in at D. Like I honestly think the Magic Archer is like the Tickle Me Elmo Archer. Like for 4 elixir, it feels like it just doesn't get much damage. Like I feel like there's so many times where my opponent plays a Magic Archer and I just keep pushing through it with the healer. Like I'll heal through it. It just doesn't. Each one of its like little shots feels like it doesn't do much damage. So I mean I could almost see a potential like DPS buff for it in the future. So it just feels like a weak card. We have Rascals. Whoops. I'm putting Rascals in at D. I don't think they're that good. They have similar issues to like the Bowler. It's a 5 elixir card. You have to like split lane them or play them same lane. But same lane, it's easy to kind of like just take them out or play a spell. So I don't know. They just don't feel like that good to me. I feel like even Bait doesn't play them that much. We have the Snowball. We're gonna put the Snowball in at C tier. I feel like the Snowball, it definitely has like a pretty long stun, so it has that going for it. But I don't know if it's really better than any of the other spells, but it's definitely still decent just for having that like second long stun. Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. We have the Royal Recruits. They keep buffing their health every fucking buff or balance change, but fundamentally, I feel like there's just too much broken splash in the game. So yeah, I'm gonna leave them in at D. They keep doing like the weakest health buffs either too. They're like 1, 2, 3% health buffs every time when they have all these splash cards that they're also buffing. So it's just like okay, but the card just remains in a tough position because of the game, and I think it's just gonna stay that way. So we have Piggies. Put the Piggies at B tier. They're honestly a pretty solid win condition. I know they give 3 crowns, but they have a lot of health. So it's kind of easy over time to at least get like 1 tower, and the deck has a lot of OP defense. So yeah, Piggy's honestly one of the better win conditions. Probably better than Hog too, because you get 5 of them. Goblin Giant, it did get a nerf because the Spear Goblin got a nerf. Uh, but it's still like a decent card. We're gonna put it at C. Like we're not talking about the Evo here, just the base Goblin Giant. I feel like it's about C level value. I mean, it definitely feels a little bit better than Giant still, but not that much better. We have the E Dragon. I think the base E Dragon is about like C. I feel like it's definitely kind of gotten more better over time with all these P.E.K.K.A decks and stuff. It's just more necessary on defense, and especially like with healer, it gets a lot of value. But it doesn't unless it's the Evo. It's nothing game breaking. It can honestly arguably be even D. It's a 5 elixir card, and it is still pretty weak. Like it's really weak. If you don't run the healer, like you'll see how fast it dies. So we got the Ram Rider. The Ram Rider did just get an HP nerf, but it's still really broken. But I want to put it at B. I feel like there's more maybe fairness. I don't know. I'll just see where it settles, but it feels kind of similar to me as like Piggies or other win conditions. Like I just don't think it's like super broken anymore. Like I don't know, but yeah, I'll leave it at B. It's still just annoying in all the P.E.K.K.A decks. So we have wall breakers, and we're not talking about the base wall breakers, not the Evo. Um, yeah, honestly, we'll put the base ones at C. All they're really good for is like polling. Like they hardly hit the tower. I feel like it's really the Evo that gets all the damage. I mean, sometimes they can hit the tower, but barely. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like they're just good for polling and yeah, trying to get the Evos. But we have the EQ. We'll put this spell at A tier. I feel like it's just such a good spell because it like being able to put in your deck shuts out like things like pump. So like you never have to worry about playing it. And being able to shut out like things like that and like being a pump player and stuff, it's like so tilting. Cause like even when you know they have it, it's like they just don't play it and you don't play your pump. But it's like you want to play your pump, so it's like it's annoying and like you can still beat EQ tax and like double and stuff, but it just putting EQ in your deck can like really bully a lot of decks in single elixir, like especially ones that are relying on like a pump or building to get advantage. I guess it would be only pump decks, but like that card alone keeps pump in check. So we got the Goblin Cage. We'll put the base cage at C. I don't think the base cage is anything like super frightening, but yeah. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's the Evo cage that gets all the value, but even for 4 elixir, like the base cage isn't that bad. Um, Now we have the Fisherman. We're gonna put the Fisherman at A tier. The Fisherman's honestly broken. I just feel like the Fisherman gets so much value, and like it can get king activations. It's just really so good. So it's really A. Even though it got nerfed, I still think it's A tier. And it just really continues to get a lot of value. And we'll have to see what happens, but I don't see it changing. Fisherman and Ice Wizard are just so clutch. And just getting kings and slowing down the game. Some put the Eagle I'm at D. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a good card to me. It gives your opponent elixir. It feels trolly. Like, I feel like it's gotten worse too, honestly. I feel like with more cards in the game, it's just easier to find better win conditions. And this is just like giving your opponent elixir is just not how you want to win the game. I don't know. It's not him. Dude, Healer's going to B. I feel like Healer has really made a comeback lately. I personally have used it a lot in my Golem Healer deck. I don't know if this is just me, myself, like probably it's on like D or whatever on other tier lists. But being able to create solid state boards with the Evo E-Drag and other cards, I feel like Healer can like get guaranteed value when a lot of other cards are kind of like questioning if they'll get value, and it can create like really solid double elixir game states when you have Heal in your deck, and I just really like the card a lot. Put the Firecracker at A. I don't know why. It just feels like a really strong season for Firecracker. Feels like you just need arrows in your deck to season with Dart and Firecracker. You don't even need the Evo. You can run Evo Dart and just base Firecracker, and it's still so annoying. Either way, it's annoying. Yeah, Firecracker's still good after all this time. Who would have known? Royal Delivery. Definitely not the best spell and not the worst. Put it at C. I just feel like for 3... No, actually, I'll put it at B. It's for 3 elixir. It can definitely like stop a lot of things. It's not like a log level good. But just being able to like shut out so many pushes with like that plus one other card is just pretty good. And I feel like Royal Delivery is used for a reason. It stops things pretty good. We have the Skelly Dragons. I'm gonna put them in at B. I feel like they're just one of those like super good generic support cards. Whether it's Golem that's using them, whether it's some weird healer deck, whether it's Lava, you just throw them behind any tank, and just for 4 elixir, you get 2 splash cards, and you put them in either lane. It just feels like a fundamentally pretty good card. We got the E-Spirit. Put the E-Spirit in at B tier. I don't know. I think before it used to be like maybe an A tier level Spirit, but I really feel like I haven't seen it as much anymore. And it is still a free king activation if you just play it willy-nilly. So you do have to kind of be conscientious of that when you have the card. So I feel like I don't see it as much anymore, and I feel like all the spirits have kind of fallen off more so recently. It's besides maybe the Ice Spirit. We have the E-Giant. The E-Giant just got a buff to its sight clipping, so it's like back and better than ever. Putting it at B tier. Now it can finally hit the tower and actually do tower damage. So hooray. So yeah, I feel like it's one of the better beatdown cards right now. And I think a lot of people are excited to play it. And I think you can get a lot more fair trades now. And I know some of my friends who are pushing up with it. So the Mother Witch. We're going to put the Mother Witch at D tier. It just feels like a pretty trolly card for 4 elixir that doesn't get much value. And it just sends piggies, which arguably don't do that much to your opponent. Like, and they kind of come in like weird waves most of the time. So I'd argue like there's just a lot better cards you'd run for 4 elixir that have more synergy and do more things, even though it might look cool. We're gonna put the Drill at C. It just doesn't strike me as one of the better win conditions. I think drill players do good in the meta and on ladder because they have really good defense. But I don't think they like that drill itself is overpowered. I think they use drill because they have to, and they want to like take advantage of the defensive cards. We have the Golden Knight. I'm gonna put him at C. He doesn't feel like that good, honestly. His ability feels mediocre. I mean, he's kind of a tank, but that's about it. He's like the Knight. Um, but I guess he does more DPS and has a charge. But definitely nothing like too special. Uh, we'll leave him in at C. The Archer Queen just got a nerf. But she's still pretty decent. But she's not like A or S tier, I feel like, anymore. I'm gonna leave her at B. I feel like you can use lightning against her, and you can like kind of play a big tank into her. There's things you can do to counter her, but you can't play the double ability as fast anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna leave her at B. Then we have the Skelly King, who I'm also gonna put at B. I feel like it's hard to tell what's the best champion now. The Skelly King has a lot of like base health and base stats, which I feel like make it really like desirable to run in decks like Beatdown, and even decks that aren't Beatdown. Just being able to give you a 3-card cycle and have a tanky HP unit. The Mighty Miner is back and better than ever though. I'm putting the Mighty Miner ahead of all of them. I'm putting the Mighty Miner straight to A. That buff to its charge time where it does more damage is so noticeable, and it's being a tanky champion already. I feel like this champion's back and better than ever. And I honestly think it's better. I honestly think it's the best champion this season. I think it's slightly better than Goblin Sign, even though I'll probably put Goblin Sign at A2. But it just feels like being able to like just destroy P.E.K.K.A.s or golems and stuff like that so fast. Like it's just so good. It's really good. We're gonna put the Phoenix at A. A super good card. It flies in the air. It can counter P.E.K.K.A.s. It can counter other things. It just feels like a really solid card. It has the egg that needs respected. It's just a really solid air card. And especially with a lot of OP ground cards, it helps you ignore them and just DPS them down. And along with the egg, it really gets a lot of value. I feel like the Monk just feels like a bad champion. I swear, bro, the Monk feels worse to me in Golden Knight. I'm putting the Monk all the way at D. I don't know why. It just feels like the Monk's gotten like forgotten about. It just takes like a lot of elixir and ability. The whole card takes a lot of elixir, and it just feels like it doesn't do much. It just reflects stuff. But unless your opponent like gives a bunch of stuff to reflect, it's like what value is there to be gained? And I don't know. It just feels like a meh card, really. And I'm gonna put Little Prince in at C. Like I feel like it's slightly better than Monk just because you can have a quicker cycle, but it still feels really bad because it's such a fragile, weak card, especially compared to what it was. I'm gonna put the Void in at F. It just really feels like a terrible spell. Like Supercell killed this card, and it still feels dead. And I don't think anything. And they're gonna have to change that if they want it to not be dead. Uh, we're gonna have the Goblin Demolisher, so they made the Death Life take longer now. So I feel like it's playable, but it doesn't feel like that great still. Like I played against people playing it, and it doesn't strike me as like what it used to be at all. But yeah, I guess it's still playable. But we'll put it in at C. Then we have the Goblin Curse. This card's pretty trolly. I'm gonna put it at D. I swear, I know people have like made it work, and I've seen like some people like use it high ladder, but I still feel like they're doing the most to make Goblin Curse work, and I feel like there's just a lot of good, better spells you could run, like Log or anything else that would make your life much more easier. We have the Goblin Machine. We're gonna put in at D. I know it got a buff, but I still feel like it hasn't gotten much love. And until I see otherwise, I'm just gonna assume it's the same terrible Goblin Machine it was last season, because it still is just as clunky and everything else. And I just don't know if a teeny bit of a damage buff is gonna help that. We're gonna put Suspicious Bush in at C. It feels like a pretty mid win condition. I honestly want to put it in at D, but then like I don't want to put it at D because it is only 2 elixir, and it does get a lot of damage. You don't respond to it, but I don't think it like will ever be like a better than C card. I think that's how Supercell wants it to, because I think it'd be kind of broken to have like an underground card like be that broken. But yeah, it kind of feels mid to me, and I'd argue in a lot of cycle decks that you'd say could run them. Like it'd be much better running like another cycle card. We have the Galvenstein. I know they nerfed this card, but it's still really broken. They just nerfed the Doctor. I'm gonna put in an A. I think it's definitely the champions to run this season are the Galvenstein or the Mighty Miner. And yeah, that just feels like definitely like both better than the Archer Queen and Skelly King. And it's kind of up to your preference, like what works better in your deck. And yeah, we're back to the last card. We got the Rune Giant. I'm not gonna go ahead and put Rune Giant in F. He's not doing the greatest though. We're gonna put Rune Giant in D. He needs to pick it up. He's gonna have like kind of lacking win rates. I think people need to figure out how to make him good. I think he could potentially be good in front of like Evo E-Drags and stuff like that. He seems like a better double elixir card. Like you might play him like when your tank's about to die, your giant's about to die, your goblin giant's about to die, your golem's about to die. It's kind of like a tank you play that can keep your support cards alive maybe. So like I don't know. I think there's potential with this card. I could see it moving up to like C or B in tier list in the future, even if there was no balance changes. I think this card has a lot of unsolved potential, and I still think its base stats would make me want to think it's like C or B. But like right now, the reality is like this card is like a D or F in like playtesting. But yeah, it definitely has potential. So let me go ahead and scroll through all the cards so you guys can see the tier list. So here we go. Here's the S tier. There you guys go. Um, there's the A tier. There's the B tier. There's the C tier. There's the D. And there's the F. Let's scroll. So yeah, here you go. I'm just scrolling once more through it. But yeah, there's the balance changes, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and definitely leave your comments on what you guys think about this tier list. Sorry if I said balance changes. Here's the tier list. Let me know what you think about this tier list. Let me know what you guys think are the S tier cards. And as always, like and subscribe. Golem CR out. Peace.